Thank you, Alphonse, and welcome everyone. As Alphonse said, we're going to have a Q&A at the end, and I've already received some questions, including some on the emergency situation and response 2 weeks ago, among others that I'll be addressing. If you have other questions, I encourage you to submit them on 3x5 cards that Alphonse spoke of. I want to begin by thanking the Thompson Latin Jazz Ensemble under the director. Right, great. Under the direction of Professor Victor Mestis for the great music. And I just want to thank them for waking us up this morning at 8 a.m. I want to acknowledge a few people who are here, and I'll begin with my wife Yvonne, who's here. Also, Regent Linda Shoemaker. Linda, thank you. And Regent Steve Bosley. I especially want to thank Regent Bosley for serving 12 years as a member of the Board of Regents. And Steve is term limited, and his last meeting is in November. But Steve, I want to thank you personally for all that you've done for the University of Colorado system and for your leadership on the Board of Regents. So thank you for that. You know, last week was homecoming, and I had the opportunity to meet with a number of alumni from around the world. And we were at the sink for one event, and one of the alums reminded me that one of our favorite and famous alums, Robert Redford, worked at the sink as a dishwasher. And I thought about Redford's movies, and especially the movies that he made with Paul Newman, The Sting and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. And Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid is one of my favorite movies. And I can't do it like Redford or Newman, but I want to refer to that movie in a couple of lines. Butch, and that's Paul Newman, of course, tells Sundance that they need to go to Bolivia because that's where their future is. And Sundance, played by Redford, says, "You just keep thinking, Butch. That's what you're good at." To which Butch says, "I got vision, and the rest of the world wears bifocals." That line comes to me when I think about how this university has a shared, clear vision. No bifocals required, even though I wear them. And that is what I want to talk about today. Since we last gathered here 1 year ago, we've demonstrated our capacity to not only break down silos, but to connect silos. And I'm very proud of our accomplishments as a community. We don't have bifocals, we have vision. The university in the state of Colorado turned 140 years old this year, and we've been integral to the success of this state since 1876. We bring educated leaders and research to the benefit of the community. We've grown from a tiny institution of higher education to a major public research university with over 32,000 students. It is incumbent upon us as the state's flagship university to continue to serve our community, our state, the nation, and indeed the world through innovation, developing the next generation of leaders, technology, and industry that advances humanities in ways we are just beginning to imagine. In 2006, we undertook the development of a plan to chart our course through the next 2 decades, Flagship 2030. We have followed that plan and adapted it to today's needs. Today, the focus of my speech is to show how Flagship 2030 has evolved into our recent efforts and to share an updated 2030 vision for the university. Let's start with who we are as a university. We are recognized as a global research university. We are blessed with a beautiful location and have an entrepreneurial mindset that shapes everything from our research to our teaching and outreach to how we run the operations of the campus. And if we are to achieve the level of success, the level of excellence that we aspire to, we must do it by being unique in our approach to including all members of our community in everything we do. We are evolving our original Flagship 2030 vision to be more simple and more direct. The university will be a leader in addressing the humanitarian, social, and technological challenges of the 21st century. When I say this, I mean everything from the human spirit to climate changes of the planet. Whether our faculty, staff, and students are addressing inner-city youth issues or monitoring changes in the Arctic ice sheets, our goal is always to operate at the highest levels of academic research and to ensure that our research is socially relevant. We want to make a difference in how these issues are solved and how the human community can survive and thrive in harmony with the planet. And we never forget that basic research forms our fundamental ability in surprising ways to address these issues. Our values are clearly stated, reflecting those our students declared in the Colorado Creed. In everything we do, we will act with honor, integrity, and accountability, respecting the rights of others and contributing to the greater good of the community. These are values we need to remember and to incorporate into our daily work and interactions. It is an ongoing daily process that we must continually work to achieve, and it will not always be perfect. These values are reinforced by our Inclusive Excellence Initiative, which is our effort to make CU-Boulder a place where diversity and commitment to all members of our community defines our work. I'm delighted that over 90% of all campus units held meetings last spring to discuss how they would implement this initiative in their own units and submitted their input. I believe that this goal of creating a culture where we achieve excellence through being an inclusive university reflects our values and respects our values of respecting and accepting differences, acting with integrity, and holding ourselves accountable for our actions. I know personally that many of our faculty are taking this up individually. After seeing the results of our student climate survey, where we learned that many of our diverse students feel alienated or disrespected in the classroom, these faculty are realigning how they teach their courses, increasing the recognition of different ways in which students engage and learn in the classroom. We will finalize the input to this process from the campus and bring forward a strategy and related actions in the near future. Now let me take you briefly through the connections from Flagship 2030 to the 3 R's of retention or student success, revenue diversification, and reputation enhancement, and the strategic imperatives of our vision going forward. Flagship 2030 brought forward key themes stating that we will be intellectually inspiring, we will exemplify diversity and enable students to reach their full potential. This formed the foundation of our work to retain our students and ensure their success. Flagship 2030 also stated that CU-Boulder will be agile, supported by effective leadership, operational and financial models, and a strong infrastructure. All of this underlies our goal of diversifying our revenue to survive in a world of diminished and diminishing state funding while providing the structure necessary to support a world-class research university. This requires that we innovate in everything we do, from managing our lawns to managing our Mars spacecraft, and that we will be a top university for innovation. Flagship 2030 also made it clear that we will become a dynamic global force. CU-Boulder will promote Colorado as a global crossroads of ideas and discovery. This and all that we do builds our reputation when we effectively implement each strategic imperative. And I grab this fly out of here in a second. We all know that we have the passion and the capacity to contribute to humanity in unprecedented ways. So let's talk about our goals for student success, revenue diversification, and reputation. Under retention and student success, we look to shape tomorrow's leaders. Clearly, we are unified in this goal for student success. Our students put their faith in us. We know them personally. We see them every day, and we root for their success. We give them our best. You see our numerical goals related to student success listed here. They give us a unified direction, but we also want to focus on the quality of the student experience. We are working to enhance the first-year experience for students with new welcoming programs, and we've created a new freshman seminar program that will provide incoming students with an immediate and close connection to a faculty member and further inspire them about learning in their first year. I'm proud to say that 32 new freshman seminars will launch in the spring of 2017. And in research, our goal is to increase the number of our undergraduates who work directly on research with our incredible faculty. Our capacity for innovation serves our goal for revenue diversification and illustrates how we have differentiated ourselves from other public universities. We are thriving despite public support that puts us among the bottom 2 to 3 states in the nation for higher education funding. Our goals are to achieve a $297 million increase in non-state funded revenues by fiscal year 2020, and doing that with very minimal increases to tuition to our student base. In fact, we've instituted a 4-year tuition and fee fixed guaranteed rate for in-state students, starting with this year's entering class. We also have one for non-resident students. So we look to bring the best of our programs to a broader base of the populace, older students, and students who cannot move to Boulder. We will increase enrollments in professional masters by 3,000 students by 2020 and build enrollments in online programs by 3,000 students at the same time. We will facilitate novel research partnerships with industry as a key component of our research enterprise and achieve revenues of over $100 million annually. And we intend to increase fundraising to $200 million annually with a significant increase in our endowment. Our reputation is all about seeking to build our research capabilities and academic achievement to deliver a positive impact on humanity. We plan to grow federal research to $605 million annually. That's a $179 million increase by fiscal year 2020. 30 years ago, we made a commitment to be a top university in space sciences. Now we are one of the top universities in space sciences, as well as in aerospace engineering and geosciences, which have allowed us to launch the grand challenge. Space science has changed the way we communicate and conduct commerce daily, and we want to make sure society is in a position to adapt. Our grand challenge, called Our Space, Our Future, engages humanists, scientists, engineers, and space and law policymakers. It sponsors 2 initiatives and 6 seed grants funded by my office, and includes a brand new space minor. We have inspired art and creativity throughout our community. For instance, several of our campus units work together to bring Shakespeare's first folio to campus this summer. This year, we celebrated the 80th anniversary of the Artist Series, brought to us through the College of Music and CU Presents. All of our strategic imperatives are interconnected. You have seen this daily in your work. A project to achieve one imperative often achieves the other. We are already well on our way in working on these imperatives, and let me show you how they are connected in the next few slides. We're taking a multi-pronged approach in retention, student success, and enhancing the student experience. In essence, we are building tomorrow's leaders, and I can't think of a more important job. We know that campus social climate, embracing diversity and inclusivity are foundations to student success. We want everyone, students, faculty, staff, and visitors, to feel engaged, valued, and supported in our learning community. Let me note one other thing about our climate. We need to recognize the importance each one of us has in shaping the culture of the campus, just by the way that we interact with each other. Sometimes, and in fact, most of the time, it's the simple things that we do to engage and inspire each other daily that makes the difference in shaping a collaborative culture. We have transformed our new student and family welcome programs. We digitized orientation, and we are communicating with students in their world on their terms, but with our content. Our new student and family welcome has been roundly praised by students and their families, and we continue to evaluate results and evolve and improve it. And because it's online, we can quickly collect the data on what is working and what isn't, so that we can change our approach in real time. Student persistence has been a cross-departmental effort. As I mentioned earlier, through the hard collaborative work of our faculty, staff, and students, we have increased retention of first-year students from 84% in the fall of 2014 to 87% this year. Without this, we cannot reach our graduation goals. In advising, we have seen a cultural shift in collaborations across boundaries. We are working to develop a universal approach in advising to increase the success of our students. My CU Hub, the new advising platform, is now accessible to every college and school. Arts and sciences, engineering, environmental design, and CMCI have fully adopted the platform, and other colleges are beginning the process. Sharing advising notes is common between all schools, and it's being adopted by a growing number of student support offices across campus. These include athletics, new student and family programs, career services, disability services, and others to better collaborate on our work with students. It's a continuing process that we remain fully engaged in developing. When Flagship 2030 was conceived, we had a goal of 10% of our student body being international students. This year, we have achieved that goal we have 3,000 international students. Many thought that this goal was unachievable, but here we are. And this happened through hard work, strategic recruiting, establishment of important support programs, and a welcoming environment. Be bolder, be global. In revenue diversification, we are working on a number of initiatives that utilize innovation in many ways, from university management to the delivery of classes. Let's start with CU-Boulder Connect. We want to provide a unique product in the delivery of online education. This includes master's degree programs and graduate certificate programs. We are becoming known as an entrepreneurship university. We want to bring together faculty, staff, and community members to develop graduates with entrepreneurial and creative problem-solving mindsets. These graduates will be tomorrow's leaders and innovators. The Innovation Network is a new group led by Vice Chancellor Terry Fees, with members from across the university coalescing to ensure that all of our entrepreneurial programs interface and support students as well as faculty and staff. We're also focusing on growing our collaboration with industry. A great example of recent industry collaboration is our new $3 million gift. It's a partnership with Lockheed Martin. It establishes new academic programs to cultivate the next generation of space engineers. And this is a win-win situation for our students and our aerospace industry. Ultimately, our goal is to generate $100 million in industry-sponsored collaborations. The significant retooling of the Office of Contracts and Grants over the past 2 years is a huge underpinning to building our research awards and grants. And there has been a big shift over the last year in their outreach to support faculty in pursuing their goals. Professional masters. This effort is key to our goals of building new revenue streams, to reach out to workers who increasingly need specialized training to succeed in their careers. We want, as I said, to have 3,000 students enrolled in professional master's programs by 2020, since we've already hit 2,000. Just want to make sure you were listening out there. Energy sustainability. Over the years, we've made a strong commitment to improve the energy infrastructure of the campus, its overall efficiency. The less energy we use, the more sustainable we become financially and environmentally. Every building we build or refurbish meets LEED's Platinum standards. As our new Vice Chancellor for Infrastructure and Safety, Dave Kang, tells me, the most environmentally sustainable building is the one that we don't have to build. And I agree with that, Dave. And key to that is making the best and most efficient use of the buildings we have. And many of you are involved in a campus-wide project to develop a process for jointly utilizing our building and spaces to meet our key objectives of educating our students and conducting research in the most efficient way possible. Using our current resources effectively is key to helping us meet the complementary goals of managing our cost and our carbon footprint simultaneously. To improve our financial sustainability, we must increase philanthropy overall. We set a high target of reaching annual giving of $200 million, which is directly related to success with students, with research, and with providing direct positive impacts on humanities and the reputation we earn doing all of this. Our reputation and how we impact humanity is frankly related to everything we do, but I will discuss a few highly related examples. Our grand challenge, which I previously spoke about, is helping us to break down silos and advance research across disciplines. It's helping us to give back to the community. So many of our faculty and staff are giving back directly to the community every day through outreach and engagement. From Ray, Colorado on the Eastern Plains, to the Western Slope, to the neighborhoods and school districts of Denver, and everywhere in between. Water, education, civic engagement, environment, business, and health, you touch all aspects of our society. Underlying that outreach into the community is our fundamental research and its output and citations by other researchers around the world. Our high level of citations, 8th in the nation, demonstrates the importance of our faculty's work across all disciplines. Arts, culture, and humanities brings the community to us. Our museums, galleries, festivals, and musical performances have brought national attention to our campus and marked the university as a leader in the arts. More than 385,000 citizens come onto campus annually to take advantage of our performing and visual arts. An additional 110,000 attend cultural outreach activities we take into the community. You may not realize this, but this campus has 30 Grammy Award winners, including the Takash Quartet. Our incredible College of Music programs, theater and dance, arts, culture, and humanities amaze and engage our community every day. Another area where we amaze and engage our alumni and community is athletics. We proudly produce Olympians and Olympic medals. We are highly competitive across many sports in the Pac-12 and are frequently national champions in cross-country and skiing. We are more actively engaging alumni throughout the country, from C U-Boulder in New York to C U-Boulder in Los Angeles, where our alumni are gathering to celebrate the success and history of this university. We are also reaching out to alumni around the globe to create a league of global ambassadors working on behalf of the university. It is important to recognize that we have already achieved a lot through these projects, and we should celebrate our successes. New student welcome, retaining more students. This is the 3rd straight year that we've brought in an entering class that is the best qualified, most diverse entry class ever, and we keep moving the bar up. Our Esteemed Scholars Merit Scholarship Program for resident students, now in its 4th year, comprises 33% of our resident freshman class. The faculty in the College of Arts and Sciences have just revised the core curriculum for the first time since 1988. And the new core opens up many academic avenues for students, especially for those interested in pursuing multiple majors. The ongoing implementation of the new advising system is vital to our students' retention efforts. One of the flagship 2030 goals was to clearly establish CU-Boulder as a top research university, and we have resoundingly done that, growing research dollars awarded to $437 million this past year. And we are building a culture of strong leadership across the campus, committed to innovation and cross-unit collaboration. However, at the same time, we openly acknowledge our challenges. Part of our values is an emphasis on accountability, which also requires transparency. The climate surveys we release show that we have our work cut out for us to successfully build a culture committed to inclusive excellence. We've made strides in creating the infrastructure to create a safe community where all members can engage and find support where they need it. This shift reflects the combined work of many offices across campus: Student Affairs, Undergraduate Education, the Office of Institutional Equity and Compliance, and the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Community Engagement. The surveys we released this past year on campus climate, as viewed by our students, and the sexual assault survey, also from the student perspective, clearly show us where we need to direct and coordinate our efforts. We must change the climate and create a safe environment for everyone. We will continue to measure and track our progress on climate and safety while being transparent about these results. We are also working to address the overall administrative burdens on everyone. We know that there are a lot of them. We are leanly staffed, but we recognize that we must ultimately make administration less of a burden on faculty and staff as they try to teach, serve the students, and conduct research. We are challenging staff to determine more effective ways in which we can do just that. Turn a 10-step process into one, or eliminate burdens from individual departments that could be done centrally for all units, while leaving the resources in those units to attend to other needs. In fact, Kelly Fox recently challenged her units to come forward with key ideas for innovation, expecting a handful, and she received 60. Clearly, the innovation quotient is here. One of our challenges is providing a unique experience for each of our students. That might be internships, research opportunities, study abroad, or other experiences built for them. Ultimately, our challenges come back to reflecting our values and our desire to be a collegial and inspiring place to work and to learn. Those values bring us back to our vision, to be a leader in addressing the humanitarian, social, and technological challenges of the 21st century. If we are to achieve this vision, we must view ourselves as one top research university, one top educator of the next generation of leaders, one university that truly cares about each and every one of its members. So what are our next steps? How will we engage with our community and get their input on how to achieve our goals? We will be implementing a series of meetings with leaders across the campus in the next 2 months and asking them to gather your feedback and input. We will and have been reviewing this with the regents for their feedback. We will communicate this vision and strategic imperatives broadly to the campus and set milestones to measure our progress. And I invite all of you to engage in this process by providing me with feedback and suggestions along the way. Just email at chancellor@colorado.edu. Thank you for your time this morning. Now what I'd like to do is open this up, take your questions, and Alphonse, I'll turn it back to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chancellor. The Chancellor now invites your questions for the next 20 minutes. As we've mentioned a few times this morning, you have received 3x5 cards that if you would like to raise a question, please write it down. And those who are holding up their hands, where are they? The people who are holding up their hands will collect them and bring them forward. And we'll try to get to as many of them within the next 20 minutes as we can. While those are being collected and organized, we're going to get started with a few questions that were presented to us in advance by students, faculty, and staff. And so, Chancellor, the very first question came in rather late last night, I learned from Francis, which came from a student. And the student wanted to know, why is this event held at 8 o'clock in the morning?
That was actually me that asked that question. That is a good question. That's a great question. What we thought we would do is, by starting at 8 and providing free breakfast, we thought that that would certainly help to get faculty, staff, and students. But I certainly understand with our student population, because they are studying in the library late at night, and I will certainly take a look at how we structure this. It's difficult probably at any time for faculty, staff, and students to get here, but we'll certainly take a look at the time, and as I said, I was hoping that breakfast and coffee would help, but I really want to see more students here, and so we'll take a look at that and see for next year or for the spring if we can't do another time.
Good. And again, as you may notice, there are people strolling through the aisles, waiting to collect your questions. Here's a question that's at the top of mind. When we had a machete-wielding man at the Folsom Fields Champion Center 2 weeks ago who was shot and killed, why didn't you close the campus?
Yes, I've been asked that question frequently by students, by faculty, by staff, and parents. And what I want to first say is this was a really sad day for the university. It was a horrible situation for the staff in the Champion Center. And I want to thank the staff personally in the Champion Center. There were 3 individuals, Tracy Tripp and Emily Cordova and Christina Beck, who were on the 4th floor. And they remembered 100% of the training that they had when there's a harmful individual in the building. And they were able to lock down that 4th floor and really make sure that no one was injured. So I want to say publicly thank you to the 3 of those staff members who really stepped up that morning. But yes. But let's go back to that morning. I received a text about 9:20 in the morning that there was a active harmer situation in the Champion Center. And shortly thereafter, we were actually in a cabinet meeting, and Dave Kang informed us that there was a suspect on the stairwell that was encountered by the police. There was the shooting, and a fatal shooting, and that the police felt that this was an isolated case in the northeastern part of the campus, and that this was isolated. And I have great respect for both CUPD and the Boulder Police Department. And when I looked at the facts surrounding what went on that morning in that very short period of time, I determined that there wasn't a threat to the rest of the campus, and decided to hold classes, not to cancel or not to shut down the university. I also think that by doing that, by shutting down the university, by canceling classes, there are also unintended consequences that occur. And it was a judgment call on my part, but again, it was made with, from my standpoint, quite a bit of evidence from our Boulder Police and our CUPD that this was an isolated case in the northeastern part of the campus in the Champion Center.
And a related question. A lot of folk were asking, why did the police have to kill him? Couldn't they have tased him or de-escalated the situation safely?
Yes, well, and again, I've heard this question many times, and the best way of responding on my part is that I wasn't there, our chief of police was not there, nor was the chief of police for Boulder PD. My understanding is that within the stairwell, the police asked the individual to put down the machete, to put down his weapon. He didn't do that, move forward, and the police took action. Now, what I will tell you is that there's an investigative unit, it's the Boulder County investigative unit that investigates shooting incidents. And they're investigating right now, and they will be bringing a report forward to the district attorney's office, and that report will then become public, and we'll know more about it. But as I said, neither Melissa or Greg Teston or I were there, so it's difficult to comment until we get that report.
Okay. And then finally, why were the communications so confusing in the afternoon? And what are you doing to improve communications in an emergency situation like this?
Yes, so let me take maybe that second question first, because we're meeting, we had a meeting last week. Dave Kang brought together the emergency management group together to review what we knew at this time and getting more information. We're meeting again tomorrow morning on on communication and on information, and certainly how to improve it. I want to begin by saying, let's remember no one was hurt on the campus. No faculty, no staff, no students. There were a number of calls to dispatch in the afternoon talking about a possible shooter it was at a Starbucks. Well, we have 3 Starbucks, one on University Broadway, one right on the hill at College, and one in the UMC. Police were dispatched to all 3. There were also rumors going around in the UMC that there was an active shooter in the UMC. The dispatch was getting so much information from so many different sources. It was difficult to get information out in a way that really finalized what was going on. And I believe, and I think our chief agrees with me, that to be cautious is the best way to move. And so we erred by being cautious and asking for students and faculty and staff to leave the UMC, which they did. And as a result, there was quite a bit of confusion, but please keep in mind that there were no injuries. There are certainly issues that we can improve in how we communicate, and we'll certainly do that through our meetings. But again, we learn from these lessons, we practice, we move forward, we improve. And I just think that there was so much information coming into police dispatch from so many different sources that it was hard to figure out